Good evening, everyone. My name is Pankaj Saxena. There has been a very kind introduction already made. I have to tell you as a caveat right at the beginning that I am not a scriptwriter and I am nobody to hold a masterclass on scriptwriting. The discipline that I have been teaching at the Film Institute is a discipline called film appreciation. It's the world's oldest discipline, if not the profession. And it is something that happens anyway, whether it is being taught at the film school or not being taught at the film school. People are appreciating or deprecating films. In any case, it is everybody's right to do that, because once it is on a public platform, then it is not the property of the filmmaker, it is everybody's ball to play type of a thing. So my approach to this, and that is why this is called In Search of a Perfect Script, is an approach of a person who loves cinema, who is interested in cinema, and as opposed to the approach of a scriptwriter or a filmmaker, this is the approach of a film viewer, perhaps you can say. It is an investigation of a film viewer into how a film is put together, what impact it has, and script is just one of the elements that you are focusing on. So therefore it is called In Search of a Perfect Script. You can ask questions at any point of time. This is, I'm no master, still trying to do a master. So first of all, very quickly, this script is a somewhat unusual beast. I think some of you may be scriptwriters, some of you may be filmmakers. So you deal with it. Even as an audience, you are always concerned about the script. The thing with the script is it is something that is actually never conveyed to the audience in its original sense. It is an interpretation of the script that you actually get to see. That script itself actually is no good. There is no joy in the script. If there was any joy in the script, then somebody would have published the Jawan script, put it out in the market, made 1,000 crores, and there was no need to make the film. So it is at best what? It is just a list of intentions of somebody, which is extremely boring to read. I am the fortunate or the unfortunate guy who happened to read the PK script before I saw the film. And I had seen Raju Hirani's other films. And it was terrible, absolutely. This PK made no sense at all compared to, a script like Munna Bhai MBBS, for example, because the character is so loving. Here is this alien who doesn't blink his eyes, and I didn't know what was going on. But eventually when I saw the film, then you know how beautiful that film came out to be. So it is in our business, sometimes it is said that you can make a bad film out of a good script, but you can never make a good film out of a bad script. तो है तो सही, बट इन दी एंड वो है एक ब्लूप्रिंट ही उसको कह सकते हैं. इट इज लाइक इफ आई इनवाइट यू टू माय हाउस टू हैव अ चिकन बिरयानी एंड देन ऑन द टेबल आई पुट रॉ राइस, रॉ चिकन, हल्दी, प्याज, लहसन एंड ऑल दैट, एंड आई से प्लीज हैव दिस बिरयानी. यू विल बी वेरी ऑफेंडेड बिकॉज यू विल से दिस इज नॉट बिरयानी. आई मीन इट इज बिरयानी एंड येट इट इज नॉट बिरयानी. मैं आपसे पूछूंगा इसमें कमी क्या है, कौन सी चीज बिरयानी में होती है जो यहाँ आपके सामने रखी नहीं. तो वो क्या चीज है? दिस इज व्हाट वी आर इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग, एंड दैट इन आवर कॉन्टेक्स्ट इज कॉल्ड फिल्म मेकिंग और प्रोसेसिंग और इंटरप्रेटिंग और एग्जीक्यूटिंग और रियलाइजिंग और वॉट एवर n number of words that we are using for it. So it is a somewhat, as I'm saying, difficult to understand. Actually, the film schools would often ask you कि ये स्क्रिप्ट क्या होती है और स्क्रीन प्ले क्या होता है और शूटिंग स्क्रिप्ट क्या होती है और प्लॉट क्या होता है और थीम क्या होती है और स्टोरी क्या होती है. And it is impossible to explain. Everybody has their own understanding of script. And then there are script writers who are charging 1 crore to write whatever they write, which you and I could go to a library, read that thing, and you don't know what it is. Makes no sense at all. It's no joy at all in reading a script. Nobody reads a script except for the filmmaker. So this is what we are dealing with, and it is a very deep, vast world, etc., that you know very well. But who is searching for a perfect script? This should be the starting point of this presentation or any presentation. And I am saying, first of all, it is cineasts like you and me who are searching for. When we see a film, we sometimes come out and say, this is a really bad script. हम script पे ही comment कर देते हैं सबसे पहले. Really bad script. So cineasts are keen. They are keen to understand a script. And then, of course, the producers. There may be some producers here. वो इसको देख के बोलता है, this is ruination. ये तो मेरा दिवाला पीट देगी स्क्रिप्ट. इसमें छोटी छोटी बात पे 500 घोड़े दौड़ने लग जाते हैं. एंड यू नो इट इज, आई नो सो मेनी प्रोड्यूसर्स, उनको घबराहट हो जाती है जैसे ही वो बोलता है कैरेक्टर सड़क पे आया और 300 गाड़ियों का जाम लगा हुआ था, वो कहता है यार ये नाइटमेयर है, इसको कौन बनाएगा, इसको क्यों बनाना, यू नो. Then until the very end that you find case में कुछ ऐसी बात है. So producers are very concerned, and of course directors is most concerned, because you know that is the toy with which they are going to play and create what they want to create. And then सबसे ज्यादा तो एक्टर्स को होता है, आपको पता है वो सिटिंग होती है बॉम्बे में, जिसमें आजकल तो शायद मतलब इनैक्ट करके भी दिखाते हैं कई बार कि कैसे होगा, कैसे फायरिंग होगी, कैसे डायलॉग बोला जाएगा वगैरह वगैरह. एक्टर्स आर वेरी कंसर्न अबाउट दिस स्क्रिप्ट. देयर आर सो मेनी स्टोरीज, वी डोंट हैव टाइम टू शेयर दी स्टोरीज, बट अपेरेंटली जितेंद्र वाज वन एक्टर हु हैड अ ग्रेट सेंस ऑफ स्क्रिप्ट. उनकी फिल्म्स इसलिए हिट नहीं थी कि वो बहुत अच्छे एक्टर थे, मतलब अच्छे एक्टर भी थे, मगर उनकी फिल्म इसलिए हिट थी कि उनको स्क्रिप्ट की बहुत सेंस थी. और मेरे जमाने में मुझे याद है एक महान पिक्चर आई थी, और जितेंद्र को लगा कि मतलब द स्टोरी इज कि जितेंद्र ने प्रोड्यूसर को बोला, जो साउथ के प्रोड्यूसर थे, आई डोंट रिमेंबर द नेम, उन्होंने बोला कि ये स्क्रिप्ट मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगा, ये इतनी अच्छी स्क्रिप्ट है कि मैं ये कर नहीं पाऊंगा. और फाइनली अमिताभ डिड दैट फिल्म, इट इज कॉल्ड महान आई थिंक, एंड द फिल्म कंप्लीटली टैंक्ड. एंड देन सब्सिक्वेंटली जीतू जी सेड टू समबडी दैट यू नो दैट स्क्रिप्ट डिडंट हैव एनीथिंग going for it. So actors are very very keen on it. And then of course, I mean these days you see techno artists, इतना हम लोग का जो थोड़ी बहुत फिल्में मैंने बनाई, इतना डिस्कशन सिनेमेटोग्राफर आपके साथ बैठ के करते हैं ना कि ये क्या है यार, यू नो यू आर सेइंग द डे वाज ब्रेकिंग, तो ये तो मजा आ जाएगा, मैं इसमें तो ये करूंगा वो करूंगा, यहाँ लाइट लगाऊंगा, और ये नाइट में एक सीक्वेंस सड़क पे लोग भाग रहे हैं, ये तो बहुत बढ़िया वगैरह. समटाइम्स सेइंग आपने कोई लाइटिंग सिचुएशन ही नहीं रखी. आई एम सेइंग सिनेमेटोग्राफर्स, सिमिलरली साउंड रिकॉर्डिस्ट, साउंड डिजाइनर्स आर सेइंग इसमें गुंजाइश है या नहीं है. These days they are very interested in these scripts, and of course the film students are mad about you know getting to know how to write a script. That I am saying by experience of 30-40 years. बहुत सीरियसली लेते हैं स्क्रिप्ट को फिल्म स्टूडेंट्स. प्रोड्यूसर चाहे ना लेते हैं, मतलब वो भी लेते हैं, मगर कई ऐसे प्रोड्यूसर हैं जो शायद इतना सीरियसली नहीं लेते. वो बोल रहे हैं कि ये मतलब अपने जमाने के नाम आ रहे, लेकिन वो बोल रहे हैं गोविंदा को रख दो और नीलम को रख दो, बस हो गया, स्क्रिप्ट तो कुछ भी है चलेगा टाइप ऑफ. So this is the world that we are operating in. I just want to start with what could be a very simple script. Again, in film schools जब हम बच्चों को कहते हैं 3 मिनट की है, तो वो उनकी कहानी फ्लैशबैक से शुरू होती है और 18 सीक्वेंसेस होते हैं उसमें. फिर उनको याद दिलाना पड़ता है कि ये 3 मिनट की फिल्म है, इसलिए ये बहुत सिंपल फिल्म होनी चाहिए, तो फिर उनको याद आता है. So we will start with a simple script, and just want to show you this. So none of these clips are, you know, very major films or, you know, very established or anything. These are very rather unknown actually, मुझे लगता है. लाइट थोड़ी कम कर दीजिएगा, बंद. ओके, थैंक यू फॉर क्लैपिंग हुएवर क्लैप्ड. ये एक बड़ी ट्रेजेडी फिल्म वालों के साथ है, उनको लाइव एप्लॉज नहीं मिलता, तो हमारे थ्रू शायद इनको मिल जाएगा जिन्होंने भी बनाई थी. इट्स अ स्मॉल, आई थिंक दैट फिल्म रैन ऑन BBC. दीज आर दो स्मॉल clips that they run from time to time, but this is a celebration of good script writing according to me. Or we will go into some detail and you know see if we can analyze this a little bit कि ये क्या था, मगर ये बहुत कमाल का था जो कुछ भी था. और बहुत, जिसको कहते हैं ना, ब्रेविटी इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. हम लोगों की कुछ आदत है ज्यादा बोलने की, अभी मैं भी ज्यादा ही बोल रहा हूँ. ब्रेविटी इज इंपॉर्टेंट. अच्छा, जब ये फिल्म चलेगी तो लाइट सारी नहीं ऑफ हो सकती, बिकॉज देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ लाइट फॉलिंग ऑन द स्क्रीन. ऐसा कीजिए कि मतलब सारी बंद हो जाए तो अच्छा है. And if anybody is walking in at that time, please don't walk too much because you may hurt yourself. इस सिनेमा का ना डार्कनेस एक बड़ा essential part है सिनेमा का. This darkness, this being with others in the darkness, in the knowledge that there are others, and yet slipping into the condition that you are by yourself. This environment is amazing. This is really the big deal. So the approach that I am taking, and which I hope you will also be taking, is a learner approach, because इस पे कुछ final word है नहीं. कोई बाइबल है, मतलब बाइबल ही बोलते हैं, वैसे तो आजकल बहुत बोलते हैं, but बाइबल इसमें है नहीं, हो भी नहीं सकती है. Bible is word of God, possible only once. In the terms of scope of the presentation, very quickly, when you go into type of films or typification of films, there are all kinds of films and all kinds of classifications possible. But I am mostly saying that we are staying with narrative structure here, or with what is called as the narrative film. So we are not talking experimental, we are not talking documentary, we are not talking, any of that, comic, tragic, non-fiction, TV, OTT, kuch nahi. Only what is called as the narrative film. That is all we are talking, irrespective of the duration, small film, large film, big film, whatever, etc., etc. I will go to show you this film made by Prega News. So it's an advertisement actually, or sometimes it is called infomercial. But we are exploring scripting. So we saw a somewhat simple film before this. This is somewhat longer, I think maybe 3 minutes in duration. But again, just compare the movements in those three films, in these two films, between these two films. Again, if you can just off all the lights. इनके ऊपर से भी बंद. It's all right. Please stay safe.
स्किप मत कीजिए, देखिए इस घर में हमारे साथ क्या हुआ.
मम्मी जी, अब वैदे ही कैसा रहेगा?
थोड़ा ओल्ड फैशन है. मैंने भी 20 से कुछ नाम सोचे हैं. डायरी पढ़ी है, देख ले.
विक्रांत, वैदे, व्योम.
बहू, मैं देखती हूँ. क्या है?
हाय हाय, तेरे घर में राजा बेटा आएगा, राजा बेटा. शाहरुख चाहिए कि सचिन चाहिए? मैं दुआ दूंगी. अरे नोटों वाला बंडल निकाल के झुकी झुकी जिए तेरा.
बस 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 करो, लाती हूँ.
और मैं ही बधाइयां मांगने आऊंगी. अम्मा, लड़का होगा, लड़का.
क्यों? लड़की होगी तो दुआ नहीं होगी? अगर दुआ देनी ही है तो ये दुआ दो, लड़का या लड़की जो भी हो सब ठीक ठाक हो जाए और माँ और बच्चा दोनों स्वस्थ रहे. समझी? पकड़ो. राजा बेटा नहीं, रानी बेटी हुई है. किस्मत अच्छी है हमारी, इसलिए ज्यादा दूंगी.
किस्मत आपकी इस बेटी की अच्छी है, जो आपके जैसे घर में पैदा हो. और आज मैं शगुन लेने नहीं, शगुन देने आई. इस पैसे से इसे कुछ अच्छा खरीद कर देना और कहना कि मौसी ने दिया है.
खुद ही देखो.
applause is very nice. ऐसा लग रहा है मैंने फिल्म बनाई. कि ऐसी बना लेता तो मतलब I would have been very happy. But it's very good to applaud. You know, when we call film appreciation is really necessary. I don't know if anybody told your mother or father or wife or whoever cooked your meal in the morning or maid or cook or whatever. If you told them that this was really good and you value it, बड़ा ज़रूरी है. So here is a question between the first film and the second film. What is the difference that you are noticing? मतलब थोड़ा broadly अगर कोई बता दे क्या था, और 2-3 चीजें ही बता दें तो काफी है. Because I want you to sort of travel with me on this.
Dialogues.
हाँ, डायलॉग. उसमें डायलॉग नहीं थे, इसमें डायलॉग्स, और बहुत अच्छे डायलॉग थे. और बताइए, बिल्कुल ठीक आप कह रहे हैं.
Emotions.
हाँ, emotions. Correct. I think this is big time on emotion, and I don't know. I mean, some of you may find it. Most people find this very moving. Most people find this film very moving. So, if any of you didn't find this moving at all, आप कुछ कह रहे हैं?
The frames, multiple frames actually.
जी. If this film didn't move you at all, then you really need to meet me outside.
I think the other thing is that the second film, both the films had a social message, had a message.
Yeah.
Right? But the second one was not preachy.
Ji.
The first one looked preachy, although it was comic, but
Yeah.
it looked a little preachy.
Yeah.
It looked down upon it.
Yeah.
Second one didn't look down upon it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
And that is brilliance of script writing in this case, because this could very easily become preachy. Actually, आपको कोई बोलेगा ये जेंटर बायस पे बनानी है, तो preachiness comes like, you know, immediate response कि मैं बताऊंगा, मैं समाज को बदलूंगा, मैं भाषण दूंगा. But this, you are 100% correct that he's been able to, you know, do this so emotionally without being preachy at all, which is a great achievement. I mean, this is not taught in any film book. मैंने नहीं देखा. हम लोग दूसरी चीजों की बातें करते हैं. There's something about, you know, something putting off about being preachy type of thing. पता नहीं क्यों बचपन में हम लोगों के शायद टीचर अच्छे नहीं थे स्कूल में. कुछ तो वजह है इसके पीछे. एकदम ही डिफिडेंस हो जाती है कि यही नहीं करूंगा.
क्योंकि स्कूल में सीखा ना, इसीलिए.
हाँ.
बाहर होता तो सीखते.
Yeah. There is that joke where the father is telling the son, you know, don't accept anything that is told to you without really questioning. So the son is saying, why? So yeah, one more thing that we are seeing in both the films is what I am calling as a movement. There is a movement from a situation to another situation. Actually, this one, if you see, जो उसने बोला डायरी में मैंने नाम लिखे हुए हैं, वो सारे लड़कों के नाम. So that girl is sort of thinking कि ये this mother is also expecting a son, and then suddenly she says कि क्या फर्क पड़ता है लड़का हो लड़की. There is a movement has happened. A misconception has been removed and something else is taken. Or of course, the base movement is in the form of this woman who comes visiting, etc. So there is a movement happening. This thing is called movies, not for nothing. मुझे लगता है ये 24 frames per second और 25 frames per second और वो क्या कहते हैं whatever क्या आ नहीं रहा, where static images are perceived as moving images. उसके लिए एक शब्द है जो मुझे अब नहीं आ रहा. वो तो है ही मूवमेंट. ये तो तिलिस्म है, ये तो मैजिक है, ये तो कमाल है कि यू आर सीइंग अ सीरीज ऑफ स्टिल आफ्टर स्टिल आफ्टर स्टिल आफ्टर स्टिल एंड थिंकिंग दैट यू आर सीइंग मूवमेंट. ये तो एक बायोलॉजिकल फिजियोलॉजिकल कोनड्रम है, वो तो है. मगर ये दूसरा जो मूवमेंट है, इट इज ऑलमोस्ट लाइक अ मूवमेंट इन अ म्यूजिक कॉन्सर्ट, जिसको जो म्यूजिक में जिस चीज को मूवमेंट कहते हैं, उस तरह का मूवमेंट है. और मैं आपको कह रहा हूं, मूवमेंट एंड मूवीज इज वन थिंग. मूवमेंट, यू नो, इन लाइफ ऑल्सो देयर इज नो मूवमेंट, इट्स वेरी सॉर्ट ऑफ अननर्विंग. अगर आप सुबह से शाम एक दिन काटते हैं और शाम को आप सोचते कि क्या बदला, बिल्कुल वैसे ही था जैसे कल था, तो ये कोई अच्छी फीलिंग नहीं है. और अगर आपको लगता है कि यू नो कुछ अच्छा हो गया, दैट वन पर्सन हु आई वाज रियली यू नो keen that he or she would respond to me and has responded, something nice has happened, or something bad has happened, that person has not responded or responded negatively. This movement actually is defining life. कई बार क्या कहते हैं कि जो बिल्कुल absence of movement है ना, it is almost signifying death. तो इसलिए योगा में उसको शवासन कहते हैं ना. शव की तरह हो जाओ, नो मूवमेंट शुड हैपन, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली द मूवमेंट ऑफ थॉट मस्ट नॉट हैपन टाइप of thing. So in cinema we are dealing with movement all the time, including in scripting. So now of course we are talking big in one way, but perfection is not a state, it is only an aspiration. So this whole exploration is with the humility that we are seeking to achieve a perfection of understanding of movement, as I said, or scripting or filmmaking or whatever, etc. But there will never be a state like that. It is only a movement towards that state. So in the second part, what I want to share with you, और आप सबने, there are two sets of people in this room. एक वैसे हैं जो vast majority है, who have opened their eyes to moving images. Over my 40-50 years of teaching, this transformation has happened. I can see it, in the people in this room. एक जमाने में ऐसे लोग कमरे में भरे हुए होते थे जिन्होंने आंखें खोली तो मूविंग इमेज नहीं दिखती थी उनको। फिर एक दिन 5 या 7 साल की उम्र में जाके किसी सिनेमा हॉल में पहली बार मूविंग इमेज देखते थे। आई एम फ्रॉम दैट एज, मे बी देयर आर 2 more people in this room of that age. Most other people have opened their eyes to movement. आपने जब आंख खोली, घर में टीवी चल रहा था, उसके अंदर वो पॉपाई जो था वो स्पिनच खा रहा था, वो एम्बेडेड मेमोरी है आपकी, वो कोई डिस्कवरी नहीं है आपके लिए। तो वो लोग जिनके साथ ये ऑर्गेनिक और बिल्कुल आंख खोली है जिन्होंने, वो एक तरह से देखते हैं, और दूसरी तरफ वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने कभी किसी वक्त इस मूविंग इमेज का तिलिस्म देखा था, वो उसको अलग तरीके से देखते हैं। जितेंगे ठीक है ना? It is such a, I discovered this very much later. It is, you don't take it for granted. You this is magical, etc. So I'm saying, let's go back to our childhood and think of the first stories that we heard. Maybe in some cases, most cases, this first story that you heard is also the story that you saw, and it was a TV program, perhaps. But it was subconsciously we were. If I talk about myself, and I think all of you will connect with it because all of you went to school, this is one of the earliest stories that I heard. And then much later, we were dimmed कि ये story नहीं है, ये nursery rhyme होती है, ये story नहीं होती. But हमने जो देखा, वो देखा या पढ़ा या सुना, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. So some movement happened. He was, I don't know who's Humpty Dumpty. मैं कई दिनों तक सोचता था कोई बच्चा था, है ना, मैं उसको अंडा ही नहीं समझ, परसीव ही नहीं कर पा रहा था, उसमें भी बना होगा ऐसा सम एग, बट आई थॉट ये कोई बच्चा था जो बैठा था फिर गिर गया। फिर मुझे समझ में आया किंग्स हॉर्सेस कहां से आ गए, बट ये बात समझ में आ गई कि whoever that person got hurt and then it sort of couldn't be revived or वो ओरिजिनल स्टेट में जा नहीं पाया वो बच्चा जो भी था, यह सब मैं सोच रहा था। तो ये ऑल द किंग्स हॉर्सेस कहां से आ गए? हम्प्टी डम्प्टी में जो एक अंडा था। This is, isn't it very interesting? ये क्या राइम लिखी है? Is it a nonsense rhyme? या वो कोई डेस्पॉट बैठा हुआ था ऊंचाई पे जो डिजर्व नहीं करता था? There was some stupid man who was put on a pedestal at a height which he did not or she did not deserve, and from there fell down, and then nothing could revive that, whatever it was, etc., etc. नहीं तो इसमें ये किंग का रेफरेंस कहां से आ रहा है, मुझे ये कोई समझाएगा इसके बारे में। सो एनीवे, दिस इज वन ऑफ द थिंग्स, एंड वी आर टॉकिंग नाउ इन रेफरेंस टू द मूवमेंट दैट आई एम सेइंग। सो देयर इज अ मूवमेंट इन दिस मूवमेंट एक्चुअली इज एन इररिवोकेबल मूवमेंट दैट वी हैव हर्ड दिस। माई थिंग, आपकी दूसरी कविता हो सकती है, दूसरी कहानी हो सकती है, दूसरी फिल्म हो सकती है, बट आई एम नाउ कमिंग टू दिस वन। ये भी बहुत पहले, और हिंदी में ये बताई थी, कछुए और खरगोश की कहानी है, हेयर एंड द टॉर्टोइज। नाउ वी नो इट्स अ फेबल, आई थिंक परहैप्स ईसप्स समथिंग। ईसप का है? अच्छा, थैंक यू। नेक्स्ट टाइम आई विल बी मोर कॉन्फिडेंट अबाउट इट, नॉट फ्लाउंडरिंग। सो ईसप का फेबल, सो एवरीबडी नोज दिस, सो आई डोंट हैव टू टेल यू दैट। आपको विश्वास नहीं होगा, कई बार यूनिवर्सिटीज में मैं जाता हूँ, वो बच्चे कहते हैं हमें कुछ नहीं पता, हमको बता दीजिए कहानी पहले। तो ऐसे कोई बच्चे हैं यहाँ? नहीं तो बता ही दे दो। तो रेस हुई कछुए और खरगोश में, हेयर एंड द टॉर्टोइज। हेयर रन्स वेरी फास्ट, ही रैन वेरी फास्ट, He covered half the distance and went to sleep. But the tortoise who walks very slowly kept walking, never slept, and it actually won the race. This is the Aesop's fable. It's teaching you to be persistent. Even if you're slow and dull, if you are persistent, you will still win the race. It's a very inspirational kind of a thing. So this is something, again, I thought, today we can say there is a movement. That time I didn't know, but it seemed interesting. Anything in which there is no movement also becomes boring. It's subject to, you reflect upon it yourself. और जो तीसरी चीज मैंने जो बचपन में सुनी वो रामायण की कहानी थी. वो घर में बोली जाती थी, कुछ त्योहारों में बोली जाती थी. This is not Humpty Dumpty. This is the opposite of Humpty Dumpty in terms of complexities. Here it is an epic level storytelling with multitude of characters, with multitudinal personality traits, continuously evolving, continuously in conflict, continuously changing. But there is one track of story which is proceeding relentlessly. A complicated story. So again, movement. At some point of time, it felt to me that this movement was in 3 parts. I'm honestly telling you, before reading Sid Fields, it occurred to me at a very young age, and it has occurred to you also at a very young age, that this movement is in parts, and possibly it is 3 parts. Maybe it is 5 parts, maybe it is 10 parts, maybe it is 20 parts, or maybe it is 3 parts. So if we analyze this one or break this one down, the egg is on the wall in a stable situation, and then it falls. First movement. Efforts are made to revive it. That is another part. And the third is that the whole thing fails and it's a tragic end to the whole thing. This is the Humpty Dumpty broken down into what appears to be 3 parts to me. Here a race is set up between these two. God knows why this race was set up in the first place, but it was set up. Hare goes to sleep, tortoise keeps walking, which we've talked about, and the tortoise wins and the hare regrets and perhaps learns the lesson. So this is fairly simple, straightforward. इससे तो किसी का कोई argument नहीं होगा. ये जो epic कहानी है, ये भी 3 parts में possible है क्या? And I can also argue that it is not possible in 3 parts, but I am saying to you that this is in 3 parts. There is crown prince is banished in the forest, first part. Gets embroiled in a war with evil, second part. Wins that war, returns home, becomes king. So if there was no Kekai, if you know this story, I'm sure you know this story. If there was no Kekai, then the crown prince would become the king without any growth. है ना, वो प्रिंस चार्ल्स की तरह राजा बन जाता है क्या? अगर उसके बीच में कुछ अड़चने नहीं आती, तो यहाँ तो दुनिया भर की अड़चने आ गई. So he sort of evolved and grew and then eventually became king, which he was supposed to become in first place. Something like that. I'm just suggesting this. You don't have to agree with it. But we will see another film, a somewhat longer film. And again, I think there is no word, there is some music which we can talk about separately. But I want to show you this film called The Bear versus the Puma. And now you are more conscious of what I am calling a movement, and maybe a movement in 3 parts. So we are now actively investigating movement in 3 parts in this film. And if you don't want to do that, also it is fine, because it's a fun film, it's a good film. वो अगली viewing में हम वो काम कर सकते हैं. लाइट सारी बंद कर दीजिए. So you are able to see there is a movement happening in 3 parts actually. There is a stability in the beginning, everything is fine. then there is some massive challenge arising. There is, the characters are dealing with it in their own way, and in the end it resolves into something. Either he escaped or he didn't escape or whatever happened. There are many other elements which are at play, which I will point out. But mostly right now we are talking only of this type of a thing, which is sometimes called beginning, middle and end. ये बिल्कुल अब हम वहाँ पे आ गए हैं जिसको 3 act structure कहते हैं. Beginning, middle and end.
It's life.
हाँ?
It's life.
Yeah.
You are born, you live, you die.
Correct. So that is what it is. I just want to show you just one more film which is even more elaborate, and it is, not like this. This is almost like a fable. This is real life type of a film. Choti si hai. Picture quality is quite bad. I couldn't find a better quality. But do get used to this bad picture quality and stay with the narrative. Then it will be really nice. So anyone, you want to say something about this film or just react to this film?
A lot of stories are there, but rigidness is what I found there. In the beginning, the father was that's fine. I'm not doing.
नहीं पीछे वालों को सुनाई नहीं देगा शायद. वो क्या होगा? If they don't know what you're saying.
ये सुनेंगे नहीं, आप ही सुनेंगे.
नहीं तो मैं क्या बोलूँगा उनको समझ नहीं आएगा.
बोलो फिर.
Anyway, continue.
So I'm just saying the father was rigid in the beginning. What I found. Then later on, the woman was rigid.
Yeah.
So, and eventually there was a lesson. If you say sorry, you can just get out of troubles.
Yeah. You're correct. So I'm sure you heard what he's saying. This rigidity that you're saying is an essential prerequisite of writing drama. है ना, मैं कोई दूसरे जोन में जा रहा हूँ, but we can't now ignore this now that he has mentioned it. Characters have to be very resolute, very resolved in what they want in a situation of conflict. Otherwise there is nothing. मैं जो बात करना चाह रहा था, जो कर भी पाऊंगा, वो ये है कि there is a moral compass etc. operating, which I think he's pointed out. And second is that this battle of the opposites need to be a battle of very strong opposites for drama to be heightened. If suppose this guy comes and he says, you apologize to my daughter, and she says, oh, I'm really sorry, where is your daughter? And then goes to the daughter and says, I'm sorry, that film is over in 1 minute's time, it is not even impactful. And the message has been communicated in a very preachy, deliberate sort of a way. There's no fun in it. But the fact that the woman is repeatedly refusing to say sorry is what is making this film interesting. So when Ravana actually kidnapped Sita and Ram says कि ठीक है रख ले, नहीं चाहिए, तो कोई रामायण है ही, कुछ एक्साइटमेंट ही कुछ रखा नहीं उसके अंदर, उस कहानी के अंदर. वो देने को तैयार नहीं है और ये लिए बना जाने को तैयार नहीं है. So therefore so many can'ts, whatever, that story is an epic story because very resolved characters, they will not give up the battle. So that is very essential, and this is what we said. Then there are a few other things. एक पे अब समय बिल्कुल रहा नहीं है. There is in good drama there is something which we saw in this. There is one point where the central character is giving up. The protagonist is giving up. Saying अभी मैं क्या करूँ? वो नहीं बोल रही तो मैं अपनी बेटी से बोले now what can I do? सब तो कर लिया मैंने. He is on the verge of giving up. At which time something happens which gives him the energy to continue for one last time. This is the Lakshman Shakti sequence in Ramayana, where Lakshman has been shot, he is fainted, Ram just on the verge of giving up. This battle I cannot win. Which is when Hanuman goes, he fetches that Sanjeevani booty, he revives Lakshman, then the battle again takes place and he wins. ये एक graph है, which is what I think I will end with. So 3-act structure. मैं चलिए छोड़िए आपने देख लिया. This is a graph that I thought I will just sort of draw your attention. Now what is happening on that y-axis is dramatic tension is equal to emotional involvement.
Actually, there's a very important point in this film from a storytelling formula point of view, is that the protagonist of the film has to act. So is that the protagonist of the film who's been affected has to act. It can't be that the father gets the apology for her. So that's why the film works, because when she goes and she herself tells her that it's easy, it is more convincing than the father saying bhai kar de, ya police saying kar de.
Correct.
So the protagonist who's affected has to act. Otherwise, it's not satisfying.
No.
If the father would have got it, or the cops would have got it, we would have said, "Chalo, theek hai, bol diya."
Yeah.
But the fact that she, as a small kid, using that lesson learned a minute back, she, does it, is satisfying for her. So that's the key trick in the storytelling.
Yeah. And it is, I'm very surprised that, this kind of a storytelling has been happening for ages in all cultures of the world. You will pick stories from Spain and from Portugal and from Kenya, and they are all following this kind of thing, and our own epics also included. तो पता नहीं क्या है वो. So there is a certain rising graph, and अभी इतना टाइम नहीं बचा, पर वो plot point 1 और plot point 2 जो मैं कह रहा हूँ. This is where the story is actually, it's given a kick forward. Otherwise you will lose interest. So sometimes when we write, we are not, these kicks are not provided in the way that you are writing it, and therefore the story starts sagging and becoming predictable and therefore of no consequence at all. So this is how it is in Ramayana, for example. This is how it is in Humpty Dumpty. This is how it is in Jack and Jill. This is how it is in many things. So अभी उन्होंने जो बात की, in a very premonition type of a way, this beginning, middle and end is coming from where is what I have been investigating, and I welcome you to investigate this as well. Is there are some pointers or some suggestions which have been made to me. These are not my thoughts. But apparently the day itself is a movement in 3 parts. In terms of the dawn, which begins with a promise, it's a beginning. There's hope, and then there is a day which is struggles, which is characters, which is conflict, which is all kinds of things, and then eventually in the evening it is resolved to a kind of a stable situation which allows you to go to sleep. और ये तो इन्होंने कही थी, क्या नाम है आप? नाम प्रिंस. तो प्रिंस ने जो कही थी, ये एक दूसरी चीज है. दिस इज द जर्नी. सो समटाइम्स यू इम्प्लीकेट अ स्ट्रक्चर. अभी इसको उसमें रख देंगे तो उसको हम बोलेंगे जर्नी स्ट्रक्चर. फिर सब प्रभावित हो जाएंगे कि ये कौन सा स्ट्रक्चर है. सो देयर इज अ डिपार्चर, देयर इज अ पॉइंट व्हेन देयर इज अ नेसेसिटी टू लीव वन प्लेस एंड हेड फॉर अनदर प्लेस, एंड देन देयर इज दैट होल जर्नी एंड द एक्सपीरियंसेस एंड द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स, एंड देन देयर इज एन अराइवल. So in that arrival, maybe you have become a wiser or a more evolved or a more stupid person. But some transformation has happened as a result of the journey, which is that book where he starts from Spain and then he crosses the Sahara. He's looking for a treasure, and then he's told कि यहाँ नहीं है, वहीं मिलेगा अपने घर में. Then he goes all the way back to his house. Alchemist. So beautiful. Sometimes when I first read Alchemist, I said, I know this. ये तो हमको पहले से ही पता है, ये तो हमको बचपन से ही पढ़ाया जा रहा है, ये चीज तो पढ़ाई जा रही है. The journey and the joy of the journey and the enrichment of the journey. The third thing, as Prince had said, is it's perhaps coming from life. The birth is exactly so much like a dawn. There is so much promise. You look at a child. Why do you feel so happy when you look at a child? Because he's carrying promises and promises and promises. And then there's a film called Namak Haram, I remember, where Amitabh Bachchan is very angry when kid has died in the slum, and he says and one kid is born in the slum. So ऐसा है, he's a doctor in that film. So he says कि एक मरा नहीं और दूसरा पैदा हो गया मरने के लिए. It's a very hard-hitting type of a dialogue. So there is so much promise in the beginning, and then there is all that struggle, etc. And towards the end, especially for people who are of my age, maybe not to be youngsters, there is this whole idea of futility starts dawning upon you, saying ये सब था, इसका प्रयोजन क्या था, ये हो क्यों रहा था, मतलब इसके एंड रिजल्ट है क्या. यू केम नेकेड एंड यू आर लीविंग नेकेड. ये बीच की जो पूरी स्ट्रगल थी, इससे हासिल क्या हुआ. what is lost we know. Lost was peace of mind. You lived a whole life without any peace of mind. That goalpost just kept shifting all the time, and you kept running all the time. In the end, peacefully leave naked. type of a thing. So maybe that is where it is coming from. So I would have shown you another film, but I think we are totally out of time. Maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes का शायद मनोज जी grace दे देंगे. But if there are any questions, we are very happy to. Questions क्या, observations, comments, whatever, anything. Anything at all. So if there aren't, I'll say thank you very much for being such patient and involved audiences to me, and I always enjoy coming to till last year Broadcast India, now Content India, and it's been great fun talking to you. You have questions offline, and I'm going to hang around a little bit before I leave. Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone. Bye.